Hey Blue Table fans, I'm down at the friendly local game shop, Kablam! And guess what I got? Here, would you mind?
Not at all.
Oh, snap. Just peel off that cellophane, yeah. Goodbye, cellophane. Hold on.
You're littering?
Yes I am. And that's not all. Oh, it smells so good. That's awesome. So this will be my 4th Tyranid Codex. Love my nids. Alright, what else do we got here? Got a Harpy and a whatever this is. Harpy also makes a Exocrine. Awesome. That model's really cool. And yeah, I'm going to be looking at this stuff. Hey Blue Table fans, Sean here. And as you know, I got my new Tyranid Codex. And if you haven't had a chance to read it, I encourage you, don't look up anything about this codex. Don't get any spoilers. Actually go buy it for yourself and take it home and turn out most of the lights, you know, kind of get that dark atmosphere going, and you will experience what I view as an artistic tour de force by Games Workshop. Whoever wrote this book is an absolute genius, because what will happen is you'll begin reading it, and at first you'll just see a few things going wrong, and then you'll see that there's a lot of things going wrong, and this creeping sense of despair will start coming up on you, and you'll start to lose hope. But then, you know, you'll still kind of hold out that maybe things could possibly turn around, and but then as the end nears, a total sense of despair and hopelessness will set in, and you'll just want to kill yourself. And I realized, as this was happening to me, that the book itself was making me experience the emotional response of a Tyranid planetary invasion. And that's why I'm calling this book one of the best pieces of literature that I have ever read, because boy, did it give me a pretty intense emotional response. Anyway, that little piece of facetiousness aside, let's talk about the Tyranid book. So I'm gonna more or less just give you the facts, ma'am, and because I haven't covered every single entry yet, but I've covered a lot of them. And so I got my old Tyranid book out, and I started making notes, everything that's changed, and so that I can not only identify what units stand good or stand well by themselves, but what units synergize, and where is the hidden pluses of this book. And like most books, I think it'll take a while for them to come out, because it's very subtle. Like one little change of one little line, one alteration of a unit type can completely alter how something plays. And so let's dive in. Let's start in with troops. Now, what I had hoped for, one of my main things that I had hoped for in this book, was that the Tyranid warriors would be back. That they would they'd get a points reduction, that, you know, their armor would go up, or their toughness would go up, or they'd get Eternal Warrior. Anything would happen. And basically, the Tyranid warriors are unchanged. They can't take a mycetic spore. In fact, mycetic spores are completely gone from the book now, which is really, really an absolutely crying shame. But maybe there are some other things in here that will change that up. Okay, so Tyranid warriors are still 30 points. They have exactly the same stat line, completely unchanged. They have the same weaponry. A lot of these medium-sized creatures did get the very bulky rule. Quite frankly, I don't have my rule book with me, but I don't think very bulky really even affects them. That just affects like transports or something like that. So now let's see here. But they do have Shadow in the Warp. So let me talk to you about how Shadow in the Warp has changed. Hold on. In fact, I'm a little embarrassed that I got to actually look this up right now. So enemy units and models that are Psychers, Psychic Pilot or Brotherhood of Psychers, they get a -3 penalty to leadership while they're in 12 inches of 1 or higher models with the special rule. So now note that that's 1 or more, so it's not cumulative. Now the old Shadow in the Warp was also 12-inch range, and they would have to test on 3d6. So now, okay, so this is interesting. So to test on 3d6 and get, say, most Psychers have like a 9 or 10 leadership, is basically somewhere between a 35 and 45% success rate. And just because of the way 3d6 works on a bell curve of probability. So, but now it's -3 on 2d6. So that means typically you'll have a 6 or a 7. So Psychic, the Shadow in the Warp was actually weakened in my opinion, because to roll a 7 on, so let's say a Psyker has leadership 10. With the old Shadow in the Warp, he would have to roll a 10 or less on 3d6, which is about a 45, and I'm just pulling this out of the air here, based on what I know of it, about a 45% success rate. But on a 7 or less on 2d6, it's actually something like a 55 to 58% success rate. So Shadow in the Warp definitely went down, except for Psychers that might have lower leadership, like leadership 8. Well, that's not necessarily true either. Somebody with the exact math will have to correct me on that. But Shadow in the Warp, not as good. So let's continue. Let's continue with our Tyranid warriors. So Tyranid warriors, basically, they're the same cost as they were before. They have the same weakness and downside as they had before. Which is that they're just toughness 4, and they just die wretchedly to like power fists and stuff like that. So, but they would get to go before a power fist model, but of course they couldn't allocate their attacks there. So it is not awesome for the Tyranid warrior. However, they can let's see here, they can take. Hold on, where are my notes? Okay, so adrenal glands and toxin sacs. Toxin sacs are 2 points less than they used to be, so that's nice. Adrenal glands, by the way, when you're reading this codex, don't assume stuff is the same, because the rules, like weapons, a whole bunch of stuff has just changed. So adrenal glands now give fleet plus furious charge. So Tyranid warriors can now have fleet, so that's awesome. It is 5 points a model, and that starts boosting them up into the yikes range. So yeah, they can have fleet. Now the big change for Tyranid warriors, and in fact a lot of other units in the book, is that they can now mix and match their weaponry. Now, in 5th edition, that would have mattered because you could do wound allocation shenanigans. And that would have been that would have put Tyranid warriors up with like orc knobs and stuff like that. But now that's not so much. You do have to take it, on one guy until that guy's dead. But the big deal here is, let's say you took 6 Tyranid warriors, you could just have the first 2 of those just be regular stripped down guys with nothing special on them, and those will be the 2 casualties that you take as you run up. So you do get some efficiency from that, and you also get tactical flexibility. So the Tyranid warriors really did, on the net, get a win, because they do have a lot more flexibility. Also, last but not least, they can have flesh hooks as an upgrade for the entire unit. And flesh hooks, let me just make sure I'm telling you the right thing. Effectively, they are a bit like the frag grenades type of thing, where they can, excuse me, good gracious. Okay, flesh hooks, yeah, they get rid of the penalty for charging enemies through difficult terrain, and so they'll fight at initiative 4. Now, and it's also a ranged attack, 6 inches, strength as user, which would be 4 for Tyranid warriors, assault 2, so not too bad. Not too bad flying in with the flesh hooks there. And also lash whips. Lash whips no longer take away initiative from things in close combat, but they give an initiative boost to the creature that has them. So, yowza, that can put Tyranid warriors at initiative 4. Bone swords, while we're at it, because Tyranid warriors can have bone swords, just like they did before. Bone swords now are completely different. Oh my gosh, bone swords are different now. Bone swords are only AP 3, so womp on that. But they have strength as user, and they have life drain. So this is a lot like heroic killing blow from Warhammer Fantasy. So if you roll a 6 to wound, that is an instant death hit. So so you get a lot of those. They have strength. They have 3 attacks. So if they have Scything Talons and Bone Sword Lash Whip, you're talking about 4 attacks each, 5 on the charge. So Tyranid warriors, even though they didn't go down in points and they didn't deal with what I have always viewed as the survivability issue, they definitely went up. Okay, Genestealers. Wow, Genestealers, yeah, pretty much the same. So very sad for them. They've got Rending Claws, same armor save. They've got Fleet. They did lose Brood Telepathy. Guy, what was Brood Telepathy anyway? It was just that they used their normal leadership, right? Like they didn't have to take, they didn't have to take instinctive behavior tests. Yeah, Brood Telepathy was, they're not subject to instinctive behavior. So what they did in this case is they just made them not have instinctive behavior, special rule. So, and by the way, instinctive behavior is hugely changed. Oh my gosh, it's incredible. Now, so here's the weird thing with Genestealers. Again, there's survivability issues. They're, I don't know, I see them as still being sidelined. Now, to upgrade to a Brood Lord is now 60 points. Yikes! And Aura of Despair and Hypnotic Gaze, those are gone. Totally gone. And Brood Lords can take items from the Biomorphs list. And so let me just go over that. So Brood Lord can now take some stuff he couldn't take before. You can take, in fact, the standard biomorphs now are Toxin Sacs, Acid Blood, Adrenal Glands, and Regeneration. Regeneration, hugely different now. Still remains to be seen if because it's just 30 points. So if it's on a big guy or a little guy, it's 30 points. And but at the end of a friendly turn, if you roll a 4 up, you get a wound back. That's how regeneration works. So it's more likely to happen early on before your guy's about to die. Before it was, at the end of the turn, you'd roll a d6 for every wound you'd lost, and on a 6 it would come back. So before that became reliable, yeah, people just didn't take it. I predicted they would in 2010, but it didn't happen. Now, for Genestealers, Adrenal Glands went down 1, but they already have Fleet, so but it gives them Furious Charge, so that's nice. But again, once you start putting all this stuff on them, they end up being like 20 points each, and 1 wound, toughness 4, 5 up save. Guy, that survivability is just not there. Scything Talons doubled in price. Instead of 2 points, they're now 4 points for Scything Talons, which would give an extra attack. But, you know, did they need to make these guys worse? You know, I don't get it. So now here's the weird one, is a Broodlord. So once you get your Genestealers, you're talking 70 points for your basic Brood, 60 for a Broodlord. So even stripped down with the Broodlord, it's 130 points. So, and I see these guys as not being very survivable. But I'm making commentary here and not just giving you the facts. So the Broodlord now has the Horror, which is one of the Tyranid psychic powers, and it's a malediction, 24-inch range, and it hold on, here we go. So the target has to, so a malediction is you do it before you can even move. But it does hit automatically, as far as I know. And they need to make a pinning with -2 to their leadership. So I'm going to call the Horror pretty good for that reason. Because a lot of that, and boy, you could pin a key unit at a critical moment. Because pinning is like, they basically can't do anything. All right, let's move on. Termagants. Oh, Termagants. Okay, so a lot of the same, some things different here. First off, same stat line. Flesh Boar has the same stat line. They now have, there's 3 different types of instinctive behavior now. There's Lurk, Hunt, and then one other I can't remember. Hold on. Feed. Feed is the last one. And you actually roll on a chart. So they don't have automatic things. It's almost like a misfire in Warhammer Fantasy. So, all right, Termagants. Okay, Termagants, here's the big news. Termagants went to 4 points each. Yowza. The Strangle Web, 1 guy in 10 can have a Strangle Web, which is Strength 2 Flamer, no AP, pinning. The Strangle Web is now only 5 points. So that's good news. The Spine Fist and Spike Rifle option is now 0 points. So it does not cost any extra points to get those. And that's good because before you never saw Spine Fist, you never saw Spike Rifle. So now they're more or less even. I'm sure some Math Hammer people will find some kind of slight difference. Spine Fist reroll to hits because they're twin linked, but they are 1 strength less. The Spike Rifle is 1 strength less, no AP, and or is it? Hold on. See, maybe I should look this stuff up before saying what it is. Hold on, I'm getting to the Spike Rifle. Here we go. Yeah, Spine Fists are Strength 3, AP 5. So over the Devour, they get -1 strength, but then they do get twin linked. A Spike Rifle is just Strength 3, Assault 1, no AP, but has 18-inch range. So a little extra range there. I don't know if that'll win out. Now, the big deal, the huge deal for Termagants is they can now mix and match. So it's any model may replace this Flesh Boar with one of the following. So you could have like 4 guys with Flesh Boars, 4 guys with Spine Fists, 4 guys with Spike Rifles, 4 guys with Devourers just for kicks. Devourers, guess what? 1 less point than they used to be. So you save on your Devourers. And so I gotta tell you, the Devourer Termagant is looking pretty good at 8 points. Yowza. Not too bad. In fact, I'm gonna predict that's what you're gonna see. You're gonna see units of Termagants that have a front row of just regular Flesh Boar guys to take the hits, and then a wave of Devourers behind them. So so far this Codex is just delivering the unexpected. Okay, Adrenal Glands and Toxin Sacs actually are 1 point more expensive, twice as much. So that's not great. But did you ever really buy that stuff for your Termagants anyway? Not usually. Now, to get a Termagant as a troops, you got to have 30 Termagants in a unit instead of 10, or just a Termagant brood, which is minimum 10. So not awesome for that. That's basically, they may as well just, that's kind of a thing where it's like, well, we're going to take this away, but not really. You can still have it. It's just, we're just making it not very palatable. Okay, Hormagaunts. Hormagaunts also saw a 1 point points reduction, which is a huge deal when you're buying, 120 of them. Their stat line is the same, and so you have to look at these things and go, okay, well, what is the role of these guys? So I'm just going to spoil it right now. One thing I see coming out is Tyranid warriors mixed with some really brutal stuff in the unit. Like you get some lash whips, you get some double bone swords. Double bone swords. Well, in fact, how would 2 bone swords help you? Because I think they just give you an extra attack now. Because before it was like if you had 2 bone swords, it had a different rule, and now it's just like a bone sword just has. Yeah, why would you not get lash whip and bone sword? Yeah, that's not awesome. Lash whip and bone sword, swift strike. Swift strike, oh, that's +3 initiative. And life drain for the lash whip and bone sword combo. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So yeah, Tyranid warriors, even if there's 3 or 4 of them, I think we'll just take regular Marines. In fact, they're actually pretty scary once you get that stuff on them. So not too bad. You put. So what you do? Okay, so the Venom Thrope. Hold on, let me go back here. The Venom Thrope, which is now, I think, is less expensive. They used to be 55. Yeah, they're 10 points less expensive. The Venom Thrope now gives, are you ready for this? Gives Shrouded. Instead of conferring a cover save where none exists, they just give Shrouded. So now you got some synergy here. You run your broods. So here's your threesome. You've got a brood of just regular, even just 10, like 10 Termagants. And so for 40 points, just bare bones, you run them in front of your Tyranid warriors, right? If you give the Termagants adrenal, if you give them all adrenal glands, now they're fleet. So that's nice. That's reroll run rolls. So you get your Termagants going. They're an immediate threat if you run them with the Devourers, right? And then you put the Tyranid warriors behind them, and so the Tyranid warriors get cover now because they're infantry. So all you have to do is one little part of one little hoof needs to get covered for them to get cover. So, and then you get the Venom Thropes. You position them preferably out of sight. And the Venom Thropes actually will give a, so they'll give a 5-up cover save from Shrouded to the front line. And are you ready for this? The Tyranid warriors will have a 3-up cover save. So that is quite frankly how you run that. Yeah, so I'm saying yes. I think Venom Thropes are back. They got a point reduction. They now improve the cover save by 2. Yowza. All right, so Hormagaunts. So now Scything Talons. Yeah, my heart sank when I ran Scything Talons. They no longer reroll 1s. That's not what Scything Talons does anymore. In fact, they don't give rerolls at all. They just have AP6. That's it. Scything Talons got just from decent, like a nice little bonus, to pathetic. So Hormagaunt, but you do, if you look at it strictly, you do get every 6th Hormagaunt is free, so to speak, because of the point reduction. So you actually, on the net, you get just plain more attacks. So if you do the math on that, the Hormagaunts are up for their net number of attacks, and there's more bodies actually in there. So the Hormagaunts went up. So basically, my analysis so far is Tyranid warriors are better, even though the issue with them of survivability was not taken care of in the way that we were hoping for, or that I was hoping for. Who's we? I don't know what other people are thinking. So the Tyranid warriors went up. The Genestealers, I actually think they kind of went down. And except I don't know, maybe the Broodlord will somehow make them better. But see, that's an iffy thing. So Tyranid warriors up. Termagants definitely better. Like if I had a choice to run the new Termagants or the old Termagants, definitely the new ones. Hormagaunts, if I had to pick the new ones or the old ones, that's toughy. I'm going to say the new ones though, and here's why. Toxin Sacks. By the way, Toxin Sacks went up by a point. Again, a big deal if, you consider that you're going to buy possibly 120 Hormagaunts. Okay, so, but your fully loaded Hormagaunt is still only 10 points. But Scything Talons don't re-roll those ones. That's kind of a big deal. But here's where the Hormagaunts won. Hormagaunts won because of Bounding Leap. So Bounding Leap is now simplified. Let me just tell you the old thing for Bounding Leap. I'm going to go find this, so I'm giving you the right information here. Gargoyles, Genestealers, Lictors, Hormagaunts. Okay. Bounding Leap is when they run, they would roll 3 dice and use the highest. So they got a bonus there of about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches on average. Now, the Hormagaunts run is plus 3 inches for Bounding Leap. That's all it does. Plus 3 inches. So they actually got a little bit faster and a little more reliable. Like there's right now, even if you roll a 1, you still go 4 inches for your run. So I'm going to call awesome on that one. Again, no Mycetic Spore for Hormagaunts. All right, I'm not going to talk about Ripper Swarms, but they are still in there. And for all I know, those will be some big deal. I do see a points increase for them, though. Let's see here. So, okay, folks, that was troops. That was troops for the Tyranids. Let me check the time here. Yeah, I still got a little while, so I can keep talking. Aren't you glad I'm here? Isn't that nice? I got to tell you, it's a wonderful day. I had an absolutely fantastic morning. Family, good food. Went for a little drive to go down because it's snowing, or it snowed last night, but it's already melting, and so we went down to go shovel the parking lot. Something my kids they've got a good attitude about it, but they're not overly thrilled to get up in the morning and go shovel a parking lot. But when we got there, it was like a third the way melted. So I think the sun is going to do our job today. All right. Okay. So now let's do fast attack. Yeah. In fact, I think I've got all my notes on fast attack. And by the way, I did a play-by-play on every single ability, every single cost, detailed, looking up every rule, every biomorph. And I'm about 2/3 the way through all the entries. Now, flashback, in 2010, the new Tyranid Codex came out, and it was a playground, folks. They went from like 22 entries to 37 entries. They added so much stuff. We had to do all these conversions. It was a ton of fun. I mean, for me, it was a heyday as a Tyranid player. And so the new book is a lot more subtle. It has I'm counting 3 new entries, the Hive, Crone, and Fast Attack, and the Exocrine and Haruspex. And those are things precisely I'm not going to talk about this time around. Okay, let's talk about the Tyranid Shrike Brood. Shrikes, awesome! I loved them before, even though they had survivability issues. But you got to understand how Tyranids work. Tyranids aren't Space Marines. They're not somehow, you know, they're not like a forgiving. That's not how they work. And those of you who have seen my numerous Tyranid bat reps know that, wow, not only did the snow melt, it dried as well some places. All right, anyway, is that Tyranids win by the press. You got to keep the pressure on. Don't be afraid to lose mass casualties, because, you know, if you're the last bug standing, well, then you've won. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to drive masses and masses of lesser organisms. I love this one bit of fluff where they actually send horde after horde of gargoyles. That's funny. When I said horde of gargoyles, out my front window, this huge flock of like starlings went by. Almost said crows. So anyway, so the gargoyles actually send so many gargoyles that their bodies clog up the cannons. These huge Imperial cannons. So awesome. All right, so not enough bullets, folks. You just gotta have one body per bullet. Okay, Tyranid Shrikes, they have the same stat line as before, basically a warrior, but one lower armor save, so one worse, and of course they're flying, so that makes sense. Scything Talons, as before, they don't give rerolls, they're only AP 6. So your standard Shrike has Devour Scything Talons, just like usual. Now they took the wings, so they don't have wings anymore, but they are jump infantry. So, and you might think, well, Sean, what's the difference? Well, unless there was some FAQ that I don't know about, in the previous edition, the wings, all they said is they move like jump infantry, not that they are jump infantry. So Tyranid Shrikes get Hammer of Wrath. Again, I don't have my rule book, but whatever jump infantry get as good things, the Shrikes get them as well. Oh, and they're 5 points less per model. So, awesome. Who is it? Oh, okay. Looks like I got a visitor. All right, let's take a look. Hello, darling. Hey, you look so nice. That's fantastic. Oh, actually, I'm just doing audio right now. I'm just talking. So there isn't any video. But I'll come out and do some video of you in your dress later, okay? Okay, go on. Love you. All right, she came in to show me her dress. Okay. That's my daughter, Willow. For those of you new to the BTP program, my name is Sean. I'm the owner. And I've got 4 beautiful kids. I live in Spanish Fork, Utah, a gorgeous little burg at the foot of these Himalaya-like mountains, the Wasatch Mountains, and very peaceful town. It's about 30, maybe 36,000 people, and a really, really, really nice place to raise a family. So the air is clean here. We got clean air coming out of the canyon every day. We're on a plateau, so it's highland desert, so it's very dry. It's great for your sinuses. As far as I know, there's no smog or pollution. Really, really a beautiful place to live. I feel very fortunate to be here. My own mind has drawn me here. Okay, so to move on. Tyranid Shrikes, blam! So they're jump infantry. They get flesh hooks, so they can upgrade flesh hooks. That's 4. And toxin sacks, actually, it costs them 3 points or 2 points less. So their toxin sacks are cheaper. They can have adrenal glands, which are also cheaper by 1 point. And guess what? So now they can have fleet. So these flying jump infantry Tyranid warriors can have fleet. Ah, that's awesome. The bone swords, lash whips, those went up by 5 points each. So, but on the net, okay, because of the overall price reduction. So that's what's interesting that's happening in this book, is that you can actually get more bodies on the table, notably more bodies. In fact, I'd say if you compared it to the old list, you're probably going to be 100 to 150 points ahead, just from all the point reductions. So Venom Cannon, oh, here's the news, start spreading the news, is Venom Cannon on the Shrikes is 5 points less. And in fact, it's 5 points less on the Tyranid Warriors. So Venom Cannon has same stat line, but it's missing something. It's missing that little asterisk that says it's -1 on the vehicle damage table. So the Venom Cannon actually got better. It got a notable points decrease percentage-wise, and it's a little bit better against vehicles. So still nothing to really write home about, but at least that's there. So Shrikes, big win for the Shrikes, because last not least, they can mix and match. So you can have your bare bones Shrikes at 30. So compared to a Tyranid Warrior, they cost the same. They just get jump infantry and one worse save. So I would almost say Shrikes is where it's at. That save your troops choices for the Gribblies and get Shrikes. So gonna say awesome. Raveners, boy, bad news for the Raveners, man. They're the same points cost, but they get -1 attack. So apparently Raveners were overpowered, and they just straight up get -1 attack. So goodbye. Goodbye, Raveners. They're a great kit for converting other things. They lost acute senses. They lost move through cover. But I do believe beasts get that anyway. I believe that beasts, yeah. So one thing I'm not reviewing that may actually change this is that the Red Terror is now an upgrade for a Ravener brood. It's like some kind of what is it? It's 85 points. Yikes! But it's got a pretty solid stat line. It's decent. It's like a hero. It's like a hero type. And it has the Swallow Whole special ability, which I have not looked up yet. I have not looked up. Let me see if I can just find that really quick. I bet it's under Raveners. Termagant's Raveners. Here you go. Red Tear. Swallow Whole. If the Red Tear hits with at least 4 of its close combat attacks in a single phase, it has to hit with every single attack. Oh my gosh. You may nominate a single enemy infantry jump into a jetpack infantry model in base contact to attempt to swallow whole. Okay, instead must pass a single invulnerable save or be removed as a casualty. Yep, that's pretty lame. Very situational, very unlikely to go off. Yikes, that's bad. Okay, so Raveners, definitely still good for making conversions of other things. But Raveners can mix and match now. Spine Fist, Devourers, Death Spitters, but really, I don't know, not seeing it. Anyway, okay, great. So just the facts turned into me giving commentary. Okay, let's continue. Gargoyles. Gargoyles are virtually unchanged, except wings turn to jump infantry. But their biomorph upgrades of adrenal glands and toxin sacs went up by 1 point each. So not awesome for that. But do bear in mind that adrenal glands do give fleet, which is something they did not have before. So basically, they've got an extra option in there. And Gargoyles were always solid. Blinding Venom. You know what? I kind of want to look up Blinding Venom. Because this may have changed, and that may make a difference. See, you can't see. I just assumed it was the same, but you cannot assume things are the same in this edition. So, Blinding Venom is against non-vehicle units. Any roll a hit roll of 6 automatically causes a wound. Okay, let's see what Blinding Venom does in the new one. Let's go back to biomorphs. Blinding Venom. Oh, in close combat. Can exchange all its normal attacks to make a single Blinding Venom attack. Okay. Which uses the following profile. Melee, blind, and poisoned 6-up. Oh, okay. So it adds something. I quite frankly, I don't know what blind does, but it makes sense that blinding venom would actually blind someone. So somebody with more knowledge than me will need to, talk about that. Okay, let's continue with fast attacks. So that's Gargoyles, mostly unchanged for Gargoyles. The Harpy. All right, Harpy, which really was pretty much sidelined, not awesome. It was almost like, when they're adding new stuff, they're like really careful not to make it too awesome, which is too bad. I'd rather them just kind of open the floodgates and just plain make it awesome, because then you'll see it used. And what's interesting to me is not just is something powerful in its own right, can it fly off and do its own thing, but what role does it play, and B, how can it synergize with other units? Subsection of B is how can it synergize with specific units, and subsection of B is how can it synergize with the entire army? Is it a force multiplier? So the Harpy is got some buffs. It got +1 wound. It got +1 attack, so awesome. It went down by 25 points, awesome. I also noticed for the first time that Harpy, even though it has instinctive behavior, now hunt, not lurk, has leadership 10. So the Harpy does well on its own. So it has the same thing. It loses the Stinger Salvo. So now to have that, it has to pay 10 points. It is a flying monstrous creature, though, which I think they FAQ'd that. So that's no difference. Regeneration is now 30 points for the Harpy, so I don't know if you'll see that on there. We'll see. It can now take. I think it can have acid blood. Actually, I think flying things can't have acid blood. Hold on a second. Let me just look this up. Okay. Acid blood. Oh, by the way, acid blood is one of the normal biomorphs that you can get on a lot of stuff. So an acid blood now does a strength 5 AP2 hit, which is great. And ignores cover. Although I don't think you get cover in close combat, so I don't know why they have that. So, and by the way, that's an homage. Acid blood is an homage to Aliens, where they get wounded when the acid blood spurts on them. So, yeah. What was I looking at? Oh, yeah. I was looking up to see if Harpies could have acid blood. Yeah, it's just the Haruspecs can't have it. So, and the Haruspecs has it automatically, so you can't buy the upgrade. It just has it. So, Harpy is a little bit better. Sonic Screech. Oh, wow. I did not look that up, how that changed. Okay. Anyway, the Stranglethorn Cannon upgraded to Venom Cannon now is only 5 points. Cluster Spines cost a little extra and is the same thing. So not awesome there. Overall, a big win for the Harpy, if you ask me. Let's see here. I was going to look up Sonic Screech. How did it used to work? How does it work now? Let's get over to Carnifex, Zoanthrope, Venomthrope, Harpy. Sonic Screech. On any turn that a Harpy charged in close combat, it counts as being equipped with assault grenades. Half initiative value. So now let's go to new Sonic Screech. I wonder if that'll be under Biomorphs. Nope, it'll be actually under the Harpy thing. Sonic Screech. When a Harpy charges into combat, all enemy models in the combat. Wow! So that could be like it affects the entire morass of them. Enemy models suffer -5 to their initiative, minimum 1, until end of that assault phase. So I'm going to call that a definite improvement. And here's why. Because 4 halved, half is still initiative 2, But for the most part, the Harpy's going to drop everybody to initiative 1. Unless you've got 7 initiative or higher. So, but here's the weird thing: is if there's a unit that's good, doesn't matter. It's still sidelined if there's something better. So let's talk about the Hive Crone. I don't have a lot of notes on this one because it's one of the new ones that I wasn't going to do. But the Hive Crone is only 20 points more than the Harpy. So, and has the exact same stat line, exactly. Yep. Stat line is the new one, so definitely improved. So the Drool Cannon is new. It's like a flamer, bit like a flamer. Has missiles called Tentaclids that are haywire anti-air type stuff. So Scything Talons, and also a really, really, really good Strength 8, what's that called? Flyby attack. I can't remember what that's called. Raking Strike is the name of it. And can have acid blood and all this other stuff. So, yep, for 20 points, I'm going to say yes to the Hive Crone. So, yeah. All right, let's continue. New models for those. There's one model that makes the Harpy and the Hive Crone. All right, so we've covered troops and fast attack. I haven't done elites. I haven't actually gone through the elites yet. I've gone through a lot of the heavy sport. So Carnifexes. Okay, first off, Carnifexes get +1 initiative, -1 attack. Womp. They save 40 points. So they had a huge points reduction, absolutely enormous. Obviously, no mycetic spores. They still have living battering ram, but it does something different. They do D3 Hammer of Wrath attacks. So it basically means an average roll, you'll just get an extra Hammer of Wrath attack. But it's strength 9. That's awesome. And okay, here's the big one: is they can now mix and match abilities, and they can have two different tail options, which come in the kit, by the way. In fact, there's 3 different tail options that come in the kit. Spine banks, bioplasm. Oh, yeah, and they get assault grenades, effectively. So that's nice. Monstrous biocannons. They can have acid blood, which I don't think they could have before. Yeah, they couldn't have acid blood before. Let's see. They can take from monstrous biocannons and the biomorphs. So let's look up the biomorphs real quick. Biomorphs, like I said, there's 4: toxin sacs, acid blood, adrenal glands, and regeneration. The same cost for whoever it is. So, quite frankly, oh wow, yeah, that's awesome. Regeneration on a brood of Carnifexes could really add up after a while. So, let's see here. Thorax, they don't get that. Monstrous biocannons, Twin Link Death Spitter, Twin Link Devour with Brain Leech Worms. By the way, no change. But the special rule for those, for that weapon, went away. So it was like it was -1 to their leadership test if they took things. So the Twin Link Devour with Brain Leech Worms did actually get just a little teeny little bit weaker. Twin Link Desperate, Stranglethorn Cannon, Heavy Venom Cannon. Yeah, you can't have both. Yeah, so Carnifexes, it'll just remain to be seen if the points reduction is enough to see them back on the table. But I think I predict people will not be able to stay away from the mix and match that there is right now. That is, to me, it wasn't even a special rule. They just changed it from all things in a unit must, can have this, to any. So all to any makes a really, really, really big difference, because you can specialize these broods to where each one of them has like a different role. They're almost like this, this little Carnifex A team running around that can take care of different threats. you know, and have all these different weapons. So it's going to be weird. It's going to be a lot to, when you're playing against Tyranids, boy, you're going to have a lot of stuff to keep track of. Trigons. So this is a thing where it's like, boy, until you comb through this and really look at every single sentence, and indeed every single word, the strengths of it won't come out. So I found one for the Trigons. The old Trigon rule for subterranean assault had a little sentence at the end of it that changed how it works. It was, no more than a single unit may emerge from each tunnel entrance in the same turn. Well, guess what? The new one does not have that sentence. That means any number of units can emerge from that tunnel as long as they fit in a 12-inch diameter plate there. So what does that mean? That means, and it's infantry units can come in. So Tyranid warriors are infantry. All the little Gribblies obviously are infantry. Hive guard, infantry. In fact, all the elites except the Haruspecs are all infantry figures. I wonder if jump infantry count as infantry. I don't think they do. All right, I'm coming up on the end of my time here. Okay, so hold on a second. What was I looking for? Oh, Carnifexes are monstrous creatures, not infantry. See, that would be awesome. A whole, like 9 Carnifexes emerging from this subterranean hole. That would be ridiculous. Absolutely redonkulous. So, Trigon went down by 10 points. But it has pretty much everything's the same on the Trigon as far as I can tell. Trigon Prime is now a separate entry, but as far as I can tell, that guy's not changed at all. But a Trigon Prime can take bio artifacts, which opens up like these 5 different, you know, really powerful options. Well, maybe they're not really powerful. Yeah, bio artifacts, there's 1, 2, 3, yep, 5 of them. So it could have the Imgarl factor, give it +1 strength, +1 attack, or armor save improved by 1. So a Trigon Prime could have a 2-up armor save. So there's something. Overall, not too impressed by the bio artifacts. That's like the super powerful, whatever it is, like war gear that other races have. Yeah, Reaper of Obliterax, that's a close combat weapon, +1 strength, AP 3, has life drain, shred, and swift strike. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. Shred. That may be... Okay, so Trigon Prime can actually have that. Wow. And has 5 attacks. Oh, yes, both versions of the Trigon got -1 attack. Ah, not awesome. Okay, so anyway, well, I won't get into it anymore. I have heard Biovores are improved. The stat lines, the point costs have improved on a lot of things. A Carnifex, oh my gosh, I think the Carnifex went down in points a lot. Oh my gosh, the Carnifex went down 75 points. Yep. Yeah, let's see, stat line is the same. Gonna call it the same. Acid Spray, Stinger Salvo. They can have Thorax biomorphs, regular biomorphs. That means they can take Acid Blood, and they couldn't before. Yeah, Acid Blood. Wow. Yeah, I'm going to call that... Acid Blood is pretty good, and here's why. Because, first off, if it takes a wound, you take a Strength 5 AP2 hit, ignores cover. So that's pretty good. And hold on, let me figure out. Let me tell you what the cost is on that. Acid Blood is 15. So yeah, the Carnifex looks like it just got. Well, think about it. You could take a Carnifex for 120. Yeah, Carnifex is basically 55 points more. So, but its stat line is just absolutely ridiculously incredible. Acid Spray, still Torrent. In fact, let me just verify that. Acid Spray. Yeah, is Strength 6 AP4 Assault 1 Torrent. So that's actually pretty good. So Tyrannifexes may be back. So overall, it's a tough call. You know, I think the improvements are subtle, and yeah, we've got 3 really good new creatures, which I have yet to really look at. All right, folks, that's all I got for you today. I hope that you've enjoyed. And do remember, Blue Table Painting is a full-service assembly and painting company where we don't have anything to do but paint your models. And we have been hugely successful over the last 10 years. It's been a lot of fun. Wouldn't want to do anything else. We're very dedicated. We brought and bring reliability and security to an industry that did not formerly have that. So thanks for tuning in, and I hope you got your inspiration for the day.